Well, gentlemen, I never thought that it would have to come to this. But you have absolutely left me no choice. I'm tired of being the butt of everyone's jokes around here. So, I've gathered you all, or bound and gagged, however you want to put it, to air out our grievances. Well, my grievances, because I'm not clowning around anymore. So we are going to handle this Walking Dead style. Which one of you wants to plead for your life?
Yeah, man. I don't understand what your problem is.
Oh, the problem. Steely wants to know what the problem is. Each and every one of you have given me some kind of grief over the past few years, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm done with it. You specifically, Steely, you have a carnival episode and barely feature the frickin' clown. That on its own is a damn joke.
The hell did I ever do to you, man?
You, EP? You tell me that I'm basically a walking copyright infringement. You're wearing whoever you're based after that this goofball thought up. You're wearing this freaking outfit. And not to mention that you pulled a frickin' gun on me last week. No one does that to me.
Come on, I do that to everybody. He does that to everybody.
Oh, yeah. I didn't do anything. I want to go home.
Oh, you, Terry? What did Terry do? I'll tell you what Terry did. Terry stealing the spotlight from me, becoming the most popular character on the show when you're actually a freaking bore. Winning the popular vote for the Viewer's Choice episode? Really, Terry? What do you have to say for yourself?
I have to pee.
Oh my God. And then you have Age. Is he sleeping? Look, I may be insane, but I am a fair man. The four of you have this episode and this episode alone to get me on your good side. Or else, no more clowning around. Steely, I've rewritten this week's episode. Do this script and do it to the T, or else I'm going to bash your teeth in. And remember, everyone, have fun.
Yeah. Yo, what's up, Jay?
What it is, Steely.
Glad you're back, dog.
Oh, so you wanna roll with Steely Mo? The only dude on the mic with a killer flow. He get his dough and they all wanna kill him slow, but he gon' take you for a ride.
So here we go.
Oh, so you wanna roll with Steely Mo? The only dude on the mic with a killer flow. He get his dough and they all wanna kill him slow, but he gon' take you for a ride.
So here we go.
Oh, so you wanna roll with Steely Mo? The only dude on the mic with a killer flow. He get his dough and they all wanna kill him slow, but he gon' take you for a ride.
So here we go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jay.
This is completely ridiculous. Okay, hey everyone, and welcome back to Steely's Corner. This is episode what? Steely, read it the way I wrote it. How do you have it written? I'm not saying that. Read it the way it's written. Okay, fine. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Jokester presents Punk-Ass Steely's Corner. Is that better? Can I do this my way now? Fine. It's your funeral. Thanks. Got it. This is episode 11. Don't send in the clowns. On today's episode, we're going to take a look at some of the biggest clowns, literally and figuratively, in WWE history. We're going to take a look at a pop all the way back from 1989. We're also going to look at every live-action Joker and rank them based on my opinion, from worst to best. And finally, we're going to see if all of us together can figure exactly what it is all about. So as always, everyone, please do me the favor and call the police. We're being held by a lunatic and we need... Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. God. Wrestlers using face paint as part of their gimmicks to get a rise out of their opponent or to connect with the crowd is absolutely nothing new. And a wrestler falling back on his humor and charm to get a rise out of the crowd is also absolutely nothing new. So with that in mind, I would like to take a look at some of the biggest clowns in wrestling's past, figuratively and literally. The insane icon, Sting. Sting is no stranger to the face paint gimmick. He's been doing it since, well, the mid-80s. But once he was rounding out his run in TNA in the late 2010s, he adopted probably one of his strangest gimmicks yet, the insane icon. Basically, wholesale nicking Heath Ledger's version of the Joker, he would smear his iconic face paint, add some red lips to it, and act completely manic and out of control, changing his voice from the highest of shrills to the lowest of tones, invoking fear and becoming one of the most unpredictable wrestlers at the time on the TNA roster. Santino Marella. Even though this wrestler won the Intercontinental Championship on his debut match in WWE, getting pulled out of the crowd by the authority figures for a random match, he turned into a straight-up comedy act goofball, and to some varying degrees of success. Him poking fun at Sheamus and entering the Royal Rumble just to only hold the distinction of having the shortest time ever spent in Royal Rumble history, being eliminated by Kane before he was ready. Also dressing up as a woman and winning the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal dressed as Santina Marella. But even beyond all that, his finishing move, the Cobra. Basically, he put a snake sock on his hand and emu'd somebody in the chest. Sorry. Oh, and he's not even Italian. He's from Canada. The Insane Clown Posse. Shaggy 2 Dope and Violent J, or ICP as we know them, are two Detroit-based rappers who have had a hand in wrestling pretty much since its boom period during the Attitude Era, even having their own wrestling company known as JCW, or Juggalo Championship Wrestling. They were part of the backyard wrestling circuit, even appearing in the one video game that came out. They had two different stints in main organization wrestling companies, coming out with the oddities in WWF and then being an integral part of Vampiro's rise in WCW and backing him and his group, the Dark Carnival. But I still have to say, I got some Juggalo love for the homies. Whoop whoop! R-Truth. Now, when I say clown in this respect, I mean it as an endearing term. Because I love R-Truth. The guy is freaking hysterical. But starting off as a very serious wrestler, being the very first African American holder of the NWA title. That's pretty big, and holding a handful of titles in WWE, including the, as of right now, 24/7 title, the hardcore title back in the day that he won multiple times on the house show circuit, a US championship run, and a couple tag team runs. He has some prestige to, his resume. However, he also holds the title of being the funniest damn guy on the entire frickin' roster. From mistakenly entering himself into matches that he doesn't even understand the concept of, to actually making Brock Lesnar go off script and break out laughing.
You may be a big man, but I know you will go flying over that top rope, Paul Heyman. What the? I'm not.
Fun fact to that, it was actually a bet between Paul Heyman and R-Truth. He bet R-Truth that he could not go out there and make Brock Lesnar laugh. He screwed the pooch on that one because Brock laughed his ass off. Pay up, Heyman. Now that's what's up. And finally, Doink the Clown. Originally being portrayed by Matt Osborne, Doink the Clown was, in some cases, the reason some of us were scared of clowns as children. His music was maniacal and creepy, and he wasn't out there to make you laugh goofily. He was laughing crazily in little kids' faces to try to make them cry. He was an evil clown. And even though the announcers didn't necessarily portray him that way, Doink was freaking creepy. Later down the line, he had been portrayed by different people, notable names being Steve Lombardi, who most of us will know as the Brooklyn Brawler. Regardless, when it comes to clowns and wrestling, Doink takes the cake. Or in this case, the pie. Oh, hey, Jokester, boss, what do you want, you repugnant, regurgitated, ridiculous Ryan Reynolds ripoff? Ha! Alliteration. I'm just trying to be helpful here. Look, I got the clown pop you wanted for the next segment. That's not the pop I asked for. I ask for you to find the greatest clown in comic book history for Steely to review. And that's not it. It doesn't even look like me. Well, of course it does. It looks like me and not you. No. And you'd better have a really good explanation for this. Well, see, what I was trying to... That's it. I'm writing you out of every episode moving forward. Stupid Marvel fanboy. He's not even original. At least I'm original. Wait till they get a load of me. Alright, look. I know I only learned magic last week, but I think I'm gonna need some help if I'm gonna topple Dork the Clown there. I know. We need some help, for heaven's sakes. Come to our aid if you hear cocaine or pancakes. Let's hope it works. Take a trip with me back into the past. Imagine that you are Ivan Reitman, staring at the finalized script for a movie that you have been working on and fighting for the past 5 years. The Batman. Finally, you're gonna get it going. You've got your script in front of you. You've got your short list of names for your cast, including Bill Murray as Batman, and Michael J. Fox or Eddie Murphy as Robin, and David Bowie as the Joker. Then imagine all that gets thrown out the window, and in 1988, a up-and-coming new director known as Tim Burton takes the reins, pulls known for comedy at the time Michael Keaton to play the titular Batman. But who then would play the Caped Crusaders' adversary? Well, they reached back as far as they could and grabbed Oscar winner Jack Nicholson to portray today's Pop. And with all that being said, I could only be talking about the Ace of Knaves himself, the Joker, from Tim Burton's Batman, 1989.
Where does he get those wonderful toys?
For the longest time, whenever I thought of the Joker, this is the image that would pop into my head. Posh, with a almost overlying amount of sarcasm, grit, and just a laugh about absolutely everything that he did. Decked out in purple, almost reminiscent of an olden days pimp, or one of your dad's friends that had one too many Coronas on the golf course. But this Pop perfectly embodies the spirit that Jack brought to the role way back at the end of the 1980s. Just the swagger and panache and every little detail from the checkered pants to the pink flower, and the simple fact that this little cane with a simple twist would have a knife sticking out of the bottom of it. He was ready for action, and he was ready for absolutely anything. Apparently there is a variant of this pop that came out at the same time, and when you ordered it, you didn't know which one you were going to get. You could either get this one, or the one I'm showing you on the screen now with the labrae and the kind of in-between pale skin and makeup-laced face. But regardless, this is one of my favorite DC pops, and honestly, one of my favorite pops of all time. It stands out among a sea of plastic perfection behind me because regardless of him being as old as he is, not hating on the 80s, but he is the Ace of Knaves and the Clown Prince of Crime. At least in pop world. I know I said that Jack Nicholson was pretty much the epitome of what the Joker was to me, but that was until a couple of other people came along. Want to know where old Jack would fall into the line of Jokers that have graced our screens in the past couple of decades? Let's find out as we go into our next segment, ranking all of the live action Jokers, in my opinion, from worst to best. Here we go.
Mr. Jokester?
What do you want, nerd boy?
I think I'm finished. I, organized all of your playing cards from J to J. I've, reorganized all of your makeup to white and black, green, and red.
Oh, that's wonderful. But did you polish my knives and then organize them by bloodstain? No. Then you'd better get a move on. Unless you want to meet the same fate as a certain boy wonder.
No, I don't want to die. I don't want to die.
That's what I thought. Run along, mama's boy. Get out of here, you little kumquat. You little mewling quim. Insider joke.
You know what? You keep treating me this way, and I'm just gonna have to call my mother.
Oh my god, did your balls just drop? Hey everybody, Termina here just went through puberty. Ha!
You've never met Mother.
Really, Terry? The glasses push. Ooh, it's so terrifying.
Don't tempt me.
Tempt you? Now I have to know. Hey, Scare Tear!
Yes, sir?
Boo! The Court Jester of Crime, the Ace of Knaves, the Harlequin of Hate, the Clown Prince of Crime, the Man Who Laughs. All of these aliases all bring up one man, the Joker, or three men. Well, there's 8 on the list. Anyway, I suck at math. When I was younger, anytime I looked at an illustration or a comic book of the Joker, Mark Hamill's voice popped into my head, being that he was the Joker that I most connected to, being the Joker for over 2 decades on Batman the Animated Series, and also portraying him in any other media that wasn't live action, from video games to, commercials. But outside of that, there's been a couple of other notable names that have played the Clown Prince of Crime in a non-live action setting. Zach Galifianakis from The Hangover fame portrayed the Clown Prince of Crime in Lego form during the Lego Batman movie. And oddly enough, a Trekkie joined the bunch when Brent Spinner, better known to us as Data from Star Trek The Next Generation, took a swing at the Ace of Knaves, portraying him in the animated series Young Justice. And there's a whole smattering of other very talented voice actors that have given life to the Harlequin of Hate. But today I want to focus on his live action endeavors. Now, there's 8 people on this list, and controversial as it may be, some names on the list may appear more than once, but there's an explanation behind it. So join me as we rank, in my opinion, the best live-action Jokers, ranked from worst to best. Why so serious? You know, let's just go. Number 8, Jared Leto, Suicide Squad. Now, I am a Jared Leto fan. I think that he's a wonderful actor. But the second that he stepped out with the word damage tattooed across his forehead and the grills and the chain and the purple gator skin leather jacket, this was less of a Joker and a gangster Scarface ripoff juggalo. Sorry, ICP, but there's no other way to really describe it. He was going between being a feline and an Elvis impersonator.
Handsome hunka hunka.
And from what I understand, all of the awesome and groundbreaking material that Leto brought to the character was left on the cutting room floor from Suicide Squad, not even giving him a chance to really embrace the character and show us what he was really made of. But I have a feeling that'll come later. Number 7, Cameron Monaghan as Jeremiah Valescas. Gotham had a love-hate relationship with the Joker. Apparently WB was allowing them to use its likeness, but couldn't flat out say that any character was the Joker. I don't want to get into all of it with you. But anyway, we ended up with 2 different people playing Joker-esque characters in essentially 3 different versions. Stay with me, it gets a little complicated. So Cameron Monaghan played 2 twin brothers, one named Jeremiah, the other I'll get into shortly. But Jeremiah was the second incarnation of the Joker, more of the pale skin and kind of flamboyant dressing and all the pastels. It gave us more of a visually aesthetic Joker, but no permanent grin on his face and very little ways of twisted humor. He was more of the psychotic, mute, very slow, superstitious, and almost paranoid version of the Joker. It didn't quite land for me. However, this version did end up giving us what essentially would be the closest thing we could get to the Joker. But we didn't get that until the very last episode. So,
I'm the answer to your life's question. Without me, you're just a joke. Without a punchline.
sorry, Cameron, but I got a feeling you'll be back, buddy. Number 6, Cesar Romero, Batman, 1966. Okay, so I know that this was well before my time, but I can appreciate the contribution that Cesar Romero gave to the role of the Joker. And even though you could see his mustache through the white paint, I could still see the charm there. Being as campy as the show was, and the writers being more fans of the Riddler and the Penguin and Catwoman, Caesar's portrayal of the Joker came off a little bit more hokey and goofy, whereas he should have been more maniacal and methodical and creepy. Still a good run, and still an iconic character that has held its place in Batman's mythos for decades. Number 5, Cameron Monaghan, Jerome Valeska. The first incarnation of the Joker on Gotham, Cameron Monaghan turned his performance all the way up to 11. And even though we lost the character way too early in the series, he gave us some of the most memorable and scene-stealing moments from the entire frickin' show. I mean, people were still talking about the things that this character did all the way towards the climax of the series. And even though he ran some of the newer Joker storylines inside of the show, one notably being him removing his face and then stapling it back on,
I used to be a great whistler.
playing Russian roulette with himself just to prove a point.
Timing. And what's courage?
grace under pressure.
And who's the boss?
He really embodied the agent of chaos, and I so wish that if he ever gets a chance to play live action Joker again, that it would be on the big screen. I'm rooting for you, Cameron. Number 4, Jared Leto, Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Okay, now this may be a little controversial to you guys, but I was completely blown away by the entire 3.5 minutes that Jared Leto's Joker returned to our screens in the Zack Snyder director's cut of Justice League just this past month. It was a completely different Joker than we got in Suicide Squad. Not just aesthetically, I'm talking about the performance itself, but they definitely improved on the visuals. No longer was the short, slicked back green hair, it was unkept and long and kind of wild. No more goofy tattoos all over his face. He had scars, his makeup was smeared, and he had that just grimy, dirty, back and forth pull with Batman that definitely just embodied the character more so than we had ever seen. Even ad-libbing a couple of things in there, making jokes that made sense, and speaking in brain teasers and riddles almost. It just really brought the character back whole. And one of the main reasons that I'm praying that they do restore the Snyderverse, because I need some more of that.
Isn't that right? Batman. Before what, Bruce? Kill me? You won't kill me. I'm your best friend. Besides, who's gonna give you a reach around?
Jared Leto, you reprieved yourself from Suicide Squad in those few short minutes, and we do live in a society. Top 3, and I got a feeling I'm about to catch some shit for this, but number 3, Jack Nicholson as the Joker in Batman 1989. Like I said, for the longest time, Jack Nicholson was the Joker for me. When I thought of him before I got introduced to the animated series, for me, it was always Jack Nicholson as the Joker. The grin, the jokes, the laugh, the arrogance, the silliness, everything that he brought to the table was pure gold. And what less do you expect from Jack Nicholson? The guy is a gem.
Tell me, what do you know about?
I don't know anything about Batman.
Really? Well, how about a little you and me?
You're insane.
I thought I was a Pisces. Come on, let's make up. Have a little whiff of my posy.
With a Cheshire smile and a twinkle in his eye, there was nobody that could ever top him. Until a few years later. Number 2, Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. Now, this was a completely different take on the idea of the Joker, because at the end of the movie, we weren't really sure if this was the same person that would go on to face down Batman, or if he was the person that directly inspired the person that would later become the Joker that we all know as the criminal. But as for a pseudo kind of Elseworld backstory, this was freaking phenomenal. It took us to a very dark place. Not to say that I would want to replace anything, but I think it would have been interesting to see Joaquin Phoenix's Joker go against a formidable Batman, maybe a Bale or even an Affleck. Hollywood make it happen. But outside of that, Joaquin really brought it home, bringing some charm, some finesse, and just the totally unhinged laughter and craziness that is the Harlequin of hate.
You got nothing left to lose. Nothing can hurt me anymore. My life is nothing but a comedy.
But the joke's on us, because number 1 is obviously Heath Ledger as the Joker from The Dark Knight. I absolutely adore Heath Ledger's Joker. He embodied the character and brought it into a modern twist. You know, basically something that the Joker said in the comics, he lived by in this. If I have to have a backstory, I prefer it to be multiple choice. Well, he literally did that, and every single line that he wove in the movie was a well-crafted and constructed lie that had truth wrapped around it. He could have a battle with Batman inside of the interrogation room. Batman was physically imposing and beat the living hell out of him, but Joker managed to deal as much damage as he did without lifting a finger. From being a complete mastermind and in some cases having some obvious strokes of luck, because some of that crap just wouldn't happen. But the fact that his whole modus operandi was just to break one person, he would set an entire city on fire. And that, my friends, is an agent of chaos. And that, my friends, is the Joker. Heath won an Academy Award for his portrayal, and it was a well-deserved portrayal, and was actually a milestone for comic book movies as we know it, being the first comic book movie to win an Academy Award, though he wasn't here to see his success. We miss you, Heath. May you rest in peace, and thank you for a performance of a lifetime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
I only have one question. Where is Harvey Dent?
In 1990, ABC embarked on one of their most ambitious projects ever, bringing one of Stephen King's most terrifying and creepy stories from the late 1980s to life in It. This two-night movie event airing on television scared the living crap out of me. Coming in at 3 hours and 20 minutes, this hunker of a watch still holds up pretty good today. A group of friends back in the 1960s known as the Losers Club all have the summer of a lifetime, fighting for their frickin' life from a homicidal, insane clown, which in all reality is the manifestation of all evil and fear. Pennywise is an entity that takes the shape of whatever he finds most alluring to bring children to him to feed off of their fear, until it met this group, which they thought that they put away for good way back when they were kids. Come to find out, in this version, 30 years later, it has returned. And now they all have to go back to their hometown of Derry, Maine to put a stop to Pennywise's antics and murderous mayhem once and for all. There's some pretty notable stars in this for the time. I mean, we've got Lana Lang from Superman 3, Judge Harry Stone from Night Court. Hey, Jack Tripper's there. Where's Chrissy? And the dad from Sister Sister. Oh yeah, and it also had the dad from License to Drive. We did get a very young Scott Evil, and unfortunately, this was one of the memorable roles for the late Jonathan Brandis, who we lost in 2003. Anyway, let's put the sad stuff to the side. For the rest of the film, they are haunted by Dr. Frankenfurter in full drag makeup. Whoa, brother, go see a dentist. Jesus God. Anyway, the film shows them going through the ages, cutting back and forth between them being children and them being adults. Most of the children stuff happens in part 1, just like the remake, and then the adult conclusion happens in part 2. All the kids are seemingly drawn together by unknown forces, and also by the hands of local bully Henry Bowers, who straight up looks like a reject from the cast of Grease 2.
Him and his group of friends decide to terrorize the newly christened Losers Club till they decide to band together and fight back. But from the time that they are hanging out, they all almost get like a Nightmare on Elm Street sort of conclusion that they're all seeing and dealing with the same monster.
That's him. That's him.
200 years ago? He was here then?
Come on. It's just a drawing.
Now look. Here he is again. The same man. It's not a man. It.
After the group bands together and decides that they can't stand no more, they decide to put it to its end. They're gonna end it. Here's a funny clip of Tim Curry.
Beat, Richie.
So, hold on a minute. Let me try to get this straight. You mean to tell me that Tim Curry is going to attempt to take down 7 children single-handedly? He couldn't do that with one kid, and he had a whole entire freaking hotel staff behind. And oddly enough, is it just me, or is he more afraid of clowns than the kids are afraid of clowns? So, after the Losers Club think that they have purged themselves from this poltergeist, prankster, polka dot wearing Pennywise, they were proven wrong, as the creepy clown reemerges and starts committing murders in the quiet, sleepy town of Derry, Maine. Returning home and trying to repiece their memories, because ever since they've left the town, it's like everything that had happened that summer has been bored completely out of their memory. They start putting the pieces back together and realize it's time to take Pennywise down yet again. Now, this movie is actually unrated, but not unrated in a good way. Like I said, it was a made-for-TV movie back in 1990. If I had to give it a rating for today, it would be maybe TV 14. There isn't very much blood, and the kills are usually done off screen. But it's more of the atmosphere and the spookiness that makes this movie good. Sitting at a respectable 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, you can find it right now on Tubi and Vivid Video on demand. And as far as my 5 out of 5 movie ranking scale goes, I give it the 1990 miniseries 3.5 Pennywise the Clowns making out with a chubby John Ritter. Out of 5. Fat boy. Well guys, that'll about do it for this week's episode of Steely's Corner. I hope you enjoyed yourself and learned a couple of things while we were here clowning around. Well, if this is the last time I see you guys because this freak is gonna bludgeon my head in or something, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I guess I gotta go get back in line. Where's AJ? I was just going to ask that. Now, does anyone know where he is? I don't know where he could be. But I wanted to ask you, what's with the big bag of cocaine? Cocaine? Oh, shit. Hey, Doink the Clown. Do you know what Denny's red, white, and blue pancakes taste like? Oh shit.
America.
America! 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 Oh shit. You done?
Yes, I promise. I'm done.
Good. Because if you ever try to do anything like this again to me or any of my friends, I'm going to make your death so tragic Dwayne Johnson going to make 3-4 movies about it. Now, any of y'all want to go to Denny's?